Okay, here we go. We're gonna go through some steps of the KEP, and the very first thing you want to do is the existing KEP at the location that you are at. You need to capture and save the existing parameters before you do anything. So open up the KEP application. Do not select anything here. Just leave it as default. Hit OK. And it may or may not uh, be on the correct COM port. And if it is not, in this case, invalid COM port, it's set for COM 10. So I have to change that. An easy way to find out is right click on the Windows icon, go to Device Manager, and look at your COM ports. And in this case, I'm on the prolific USB to serial COM port, which is COM 9. That's what the KEP is hooked to, COM 9. So I'm going to set this for COM 9. Hit OK. Now I've got a good connection. And what I want to do is click this button, which here down on the bottom it says click here to upload the setup from the unit, which is the KEP, into the PC. Click this, and this window will pop up. You have to hit start. And it's downloading all of the existing parameters in the existing KEP. Do this first and foremost, so if anything screws up down the road, you can have this to fall back on. And when this gets done, after it'll say complete, then we're going to hit close. Don't hit stop. That'll interrupt the data link. Okay, so now it says upload complete. We have no errors, so we hit close. May or may not pop up, and just hit OK. Now, the parameters that we've uploaded from the KEP, if you go to the setup tab, all of these, it's set for steam mass, it's set for to display mass flow, mass total, okay, the units, time base per hour, mass flows, pounds per hour, totals pounds, so on and so forth. Volume flow is cubic feet per hour. Typically we use gallons per minute, but these are just the default parameters. What?
Can any of those be changed at this point?
Yes, yes. But you're not changing them in the KEP. If you change any of these right now, you're only changing it in the template or the software. You're not changing anything in the KEP. If I wanted to change this time base per minute and hit OK, okay, now I go back and it's per minute. See how I made the change? I can go back to hour, time base, and it stays at hour. But all you did by doing that was you changed the parameter within the software. You've made no changes at the KEP, and once you change all these in the software and then you go back and hit download, then all the changes you have made will be transferred to the KEP. Okay, so back on the setup tab, I'm just showing you an example of some of the parameters. This digital 2.5 volt trigger level is a default. We never use that on anything that should, you know, it should either be, if we have stacked transmitters like a high range and a low range, it'll be, the option's not shown here because we haven't selected that, but it'll either be that or 4 to 20 milliamps, okay, linear. And I'm just showing you an example, these parameters, they're just in the software. Now, if you want to, let's kind of do a little mock-up of what we're doing here. We are going to go liquid delta heat. That's for chilled water because we're measuring the delta temperature between the supply and the return. And the other variable is flow in gallons per minute. So our display list, we don't need mass flow. We want heat flow. And then if you go down here, we want heat total. Get rid of mass total, and then that's it. I just changed it to delta, liquid delta heat, and then I just changed to what it's going to display here. So go back to this. It's liquid delta heat, and it's going to display heat flow on the second line and heat total. We're going to put that on the first line. Heat total on the first line and heat flow on the second line. Okay. And we don't need 3 decimal points. We'll put in 1 decimal point, hit OK. All right. The units for our time base, heat flow, we want K BTUs. That's 1,000 BTUs. Heat total is K BTU. Mass flow is pounds per hour. Mass total is pounds. Volume flow is going to be, we want that to be, well, I got to go back and change our time base to minutes. Time base to minutes. KBTU, KBTU, mass flow. Well, I guess I got to go back to hour. Total cubic feet per minute. Gallons per minute. PSI gauge pressure, pounds per cubic foot. So let's do this again. Time base, minutes, heat flow, heat KBTU, heat total, KBTU, mass flow. Maybe I should put that back to hour. I don't know. I'll have to look. Well, yeah, I'll put it back to hour. I'm not sure which one is right, so I'm going to go, I'll put it to hour. Now, flow, heat total, mass flow is pounds per hour. Mass total is pounds. Volume, gallons per hour. I kind of wanted gallons per minute, but I guess it won't let me do that. Volume totals, gallons, temperature, pressure, density. Okay. Pounds per cubic foot. So hit OK. Now we got our units. Flow. Flow equation is going to be linear because our flow input is coming from the Siemens flow meter, and it's going to be a 4 to 20 milliamp signal, which is here. And I don't know what the full scale is at this point, but we're going to throw, let's say Q equals 2000. We have to find out what Q is off the Siemens display head. And the low scale is 0, full scale, if Q equals 2000, that's what you put in here, whatever Q is. Low flow cutoff, we will put that at, because sometimes the valves leak past, we'll put that at 5 gallons per hour, just so it doesn't bounce around at the low end if we got a leak. All right. Flow meter location is going to be in cold water, so hit OK. And then our fluid is water, and then our comp 1 is going to be the chilled water supply temperature, and where before in an existing location you would have a temperature transmitter from DDC that would be set at 4 to 20 milliamps, but we're going to be using an RTD. Okay, and what this default value is if you have if you have some kind of failure, whether it's wiring or the temperature sensor goes bad or whatever, if there's some kind of error with the RTD, then the default value is going to be what you want the flow computer to revert to if there's a failure. So we're going to call this, we'll say 50, let's see, we will say 45 degrees for the supply. And the low delta temperature cutoff is what's the minimum you want to measure before you start computations. Just leave that at 0. That's comp 1. Comp 2, RTD temperature 2 is going to be, I don't know why this says 580. Default value on this, we'll say 50 degrees, or we'll say 55 degrees. So we got a 10 degree delta. All right, go back to comp 1, 45. I don't know why. Comp 2, I don't know why this is giving me a, oh, these are grayed out, so those don't matter. That's not an option for, that's probably pressure, if I selected pressure. So that's good. And then I'm going to, since I'm robbing the Siemens flow meter signal as my primary flow input, I want to program an output to give back to DDC, and that is going to be volume flow, and the low scale is 0, and then the full scale is going to be Q, again, whatever Q equals, which in this case I put 2000. Q equals 2000 and 4 to 20 milliamps. So that's our volume flow, and then that's it. This should be programmed for chilled water. So now I want to, actually I skipped a step. I skipped back here. If once you did the upload and click here to upload the setup from the unit to the PC, I skipped this, you should hit save as, and then find a location. I'm going to put it in my documents, find a location. So you would say, let's say, space research as found. Today's date is 1/26/24, and then you would save the original KEP file before. So now the template was saved as found. All right. Well, now you should have done that way in the beginning. As soon as you were done uploading, Now that I've changed all these parameters here to what I want, we'll go through them one more time. Liquid delta heat, my display list, I have heat flow on the second line and heat total on the first line. Heat total is what Johnny and Bruce are going to come out and read on the meter. So you want that displayed all the time. They don't know how to go through the menus and find different things, so you got to set it up for them to be able to read it without touching anything. So 1 decimal point, and then hit OK. Units, time base is an hour, heat flow, kBTU, heat total, kBTU, mass flow, pounds per hour, mass total, pounds, volume flow, gallons per hour, volume totals, gallons, temperature, Fahrenheit, density, cubic pounds per cubic foot. That's your units. The flow equation is linear, 4 to 20 milliamps, and low flow cutoff we changed to 5. Low scale with no flow is 0, which would equal 4 milliamps. Full scale is Q, which we're going to guess that it's 2000 at this point. And then you hit OK, and then fluid is water, that's all good. Comp 1 is our RTD. We're going to set the default value at 45 degrees or whatever, set the default value at whatever the chilled water is currently at. If you're in the location and you can see a gauge or a whatever, 45 degrees, don't mess with calibration temp, leave low delta temp cut off at 0, hit OK. Comp 2, that's your return chilled water temperature, default value 55. And then we want to assign current 1 output. We want to assign that 4 to 20 milliamps under volume flow. So at 0 flow, it's going to send DDC 4 milliamps. At 2,000 gallons per hour, it's going to send DDC 20 milliamps. I think I need to change the time base back to minutes. I'm still confused on that. I'm pretty sure I got to change that to minutes. Oh, comp 1 is supply, comp 2 is return. I'm going to go back and change this to minutes again. I think I get confused on that. But if you download the file that's already existing, and assuming that's correct, that's what you want to keep it at. So I changed time base back to minutes, and then let's see what this looks like. Yeah, gallons per minute, 2,000 gallons per minute. It should be minutes. So I'm going to stick with that. It should be minutes. And then, okay, so that's it. And then now we are going to go back to File, and we are going to hit this button, Download, to all the changes that we made in the software that are currently only in the software. We're going to push them to the KEP, and you do that by clicking Download. So we're going to hit Download. And then we're going to start. No. Once we push this into the KEP, once you push it into the KEP, you verify that it went in correctly, and then what I do is I download it out of the KEP and then save it. I want to download exactly what's in the KEP and save it. It's an extra step, but instead of downloading it out of the software to a file. So, and I'll do that right now. All right, so this is done, download complete, hit close. Now I will, I hit upload. It says this file has not been saved. Do you wish to save it now? No. I want to upload what's in the KEP now. Okay, hit start. So now this is pulling everything out of the KEP, and it's going to load it into the software. And then once it loads it in and it's complete, then I will save it. It's an extra step just to be sure that they actually all went into the KEP. So again, right now I'm uploading from the KEP to my laptop and the software. Whatever's in the KEP, I'm sucking it out and putting it on my laptop. So upload complete. I'm going to hit close, and then this window will pop up, and then I'm going to go save as, and then we already saved a file that says space research as found. That was the original one that we did with the way that we found it. Now we're going to name this as left, the way that we left it, like an as built. We're going to save that in our documents. You can save it just wherever you save it. Make sure it's in a folder, common folder where you put files and documents that pertain to the metering. So I'm putting this in documents, and here's our file that we just saved previously, the first one that we saved all the parameters as existing. Then now we've made changes, and we're going to save this to as left. Save, template was saved. Okay, so that's it for that. So you're done with the parameter changes. You can print a setup. This will print all of the parameters out on a page, and it's a good habit to do this and save it as a file. Okay, so this will show all our parameters, and this private code that tells you what when if you try to change a parameter through the display pad, the keypad, it will ask you for a password. This happens to be 1000. There's another level, 2000 and 3000. 3000 is like the engineering level, the highest level you can get. Okay, and then, so here's our time-based units. It's per minute. Heat flow, kBTU. Heat total unit, kBTU. Mass flow unit, pounds per minute. Mass total, pounds. Gallons per minute, so on and so forth. Temperatures Fahrenheit. Water, we're doing a linear analog 4 to 20. The scale is 0 to 2,000 gallons per minute. You'll find that under Q. They call flow Q, or flow in gallons per minute is Q. I'll show you later how to get that out of the Siemens head. And then low flow cutoff, we changed to 5 gallons. And then flow meter, location, cold. RTD we have set up. That's comp 1. Default is 45. Low delta is 0. Comp 2 is going to be chilled water return. Default 55. And then pulse output we don't care about. Current output is going to be volume flow 4 to 20 milliamps, and the scale is going to be Q 0 to 2,000 gallons per minute. We don't care about current output 2 or the relays. We don't care about the communication network, none of that. So we are going to, now we have our setup file that has all the parameters that we just changed. Hit save as, and we are going to point it to the same location that we saved our FC2 file, and I saved it in documents, my documents. So I'm going to name this as left setup 01/26/2024. It's going to be a text file. Hit save. Okay, so that's been saved. You can also do a maintenance report that just kind of gives you the state, if there's any alarms, if there's whatever, it's just a little bit more information. Okay, the report's generated, so it gives you the system information, serial number, and that, calibration dates. So we do have 2 active alarms. So we got a power failure and a communication error. And our sensor alarms, flow loop broken, loop 2 broken. And so flow loop is our input, 4 to 20 milliamps. Flow loop 2 is our analog output. RTD 1 and 2 are open also because I have this thing on my desk, so we don't have anything hooked up to it. No service test errors, no self-test errors. So that gives you the state of it. You can hit save as, and we're going to go save it as, what do we want to call this? Main report as left 01/26/2024. Save that in documents. That's been saved. Hit close. And now I can exit out of this program. I'm going to hit exit. So to verify what you saved before you go any further, find the location that you saved these files, and I can show you that this and this are the 2 files. This is before as found from the old KEP that we saved. In case we run into any problems or make any mistakes, we can revert back to this. And then once we change the parameters and uploaded or downloaded or pushed them into the KEP, we save this file as left. So that's kind of like the current as built. And then the other 2 files. This? No. These are FC2 files. They're the parameters to load into the software. Don't try to open these. Don't try to double click or do anything fancy or, here's open with. When you hit open with, you can choose what software you want to open that file up with. As you've already found out the hard way, don't do any of that. Okay? So the text files that we saved, the 2 reports, are down here. As left setup, these are all the parameters. You and then the maintenance report as left. You can double click these. If you double click that, it will show you the report. You can print it, you can save it, you can wipe your ass with it, whatever you want to do. But don't don't do anything with these. Don't touch them once they're there. Now, the only other thing to do with the KEP is to do the network communications, and you'll do that by Field Server Toolbox. Hit Discover Now, and when you're plugged in with the Ethernet, it's going to show you. So I found this device on the way I've got it plugged into my network, but it has a yellow button here, meaning that I'm not on the same network or subnet. I'm on a different network, and I can't connect to it right now until I get this to go green. I see, here's the connect button. I can try that. Nothing happens. Okay. So my IP address is 192.168.1.24. I have to get this on the same network, and in order for me to do that, I have to turn, you can only have one network connection at a time. I have to dump my U of M connection. So I have to disable this, and then I'll disable my Wi-Fi. So now I have no outside network connected, and I should, since I have this plugged into my docking station, it should go green now. Well, now it's red, so it says it lost. Let me try it again. Oh, yeah, I lost it. How did I do that? So I have that plugged into there, and I really need it plugged into okay, I gotta plug it into something else. Alright, let's see if we can get it this way. Oh, and that just killed my mouse. So, we can't do that. Alright, I'm still here now. And I got the yellow back, but my address is different. So I need to set my computer to a static address, which is edit. This is going to be TCP IP4. Use the following address: 192.168.1. The KEP is 24, so I'm going to name this 23 and use that subnet. Hit OK. Okay, now just to double check that, I want to make sure it's stuck. Take a peek at it. Yes, and that's stuck. So now my computer's on the same network, and we can redo the field server toolbox. And there, I got a green light. So now I can connect to the KEP's Modbus interface. And I'm not sure I've never seen this before, so, huh. I don't know. So on the side of the KEP, it has a default password, and the default password is capital YPT55, lowercase w, uppercase ECE, lowercase s. And the user name, it doesn't have a username, so we'll just try that. No, it wants me to put one in. So let's try admin, ADMIN, and then log in. Okay, so that got me in. So on the side of the KEP with this Ethernet interface, you're going to have to punch in admin as the username, and it's going to tell you the password on the side of the machine. All right, so now we want to change our network, our IP address, and we would do that under diagnostics. Network settings, and here we can do you know what the IP address is for this? Read it off to me. Okay, and then the subnet gateway. Okay, and there is no DNS servers, probably. So now this is where you would update the IP address, and then you hit save, and that will change the default IP address from 192.168.1.24. It will change it to the one that Jody Sherwin gave you to put on the network when you hit save. I'm not going to hit save because I want Richard Soik to do this, and so I'm not going to hit save. I'm just going to get out of here, log out without saving it. And to make sure that it didn't make a change, I'm going to try to connect to it again, and it will only connect if it's still default. And there it gives me the IP address. So we did not make any changes to that. We'll let Rich try to fuck that up. So that is the story, and I'm sticking to